shaving, and then I'm like, wait, was that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's him. I'm like, wow, completely different.
Completely different.
If he ever has
People
to
thought it was AI.
if he ever has to run from the law, either grow your beard or shave it.
Right.
Because you'll hide in plain sight. Welcome to Local Lens, a podcast where we interview local business owners here in Sebastian and Vero Beach and really the whole Treasure Coast. I'm your host, John.
Crystal.
We won't always be together because there might be times where she has to step away or I have to step away, but one of us will always be here for Local Lens. We are recording in our studio, Riley Black Studios, here in Sebastian, your premier podcast and content creating space. And what better way to kick off our first Local Lens than with a local legend herself, Danielle.
I like that. That was good.
Right?
If you don't know, Danielle, Wynkoop.
Wynkoop.
Yeah,
Wynkoop.
Wynkoop. As long as you spell it right.
Yeah.
You say it however you want.
Right.
From VBN Facebook group and Vero Beach Neighborhood Beach Gift Shop.
Yes. I'll take it. It's perfect.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
So the group VBN is Vero Beach Neighborhood,
yes.
and then the shop is VBN Beach and
Shop.
Gifts,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
How are you?
which came first, the shop
The
or the
chicken
group?
or the egg?
Right.
The group. Definitely the group. So, but thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being on. We don't know a better way to start our series than with a local
I
legend.
agree. I so
Right.
Your group really has been since we've been here in town for 2 years now.
Okay.
We discovered your group, and man, the wealth between being able to post our businesses, the engagement that the group has, recommendations. The group is amazing. Thank you so much for starting it
Oh gosh,
and
you're very
running
welcome.
it.
Yeah, I love such good feedback because that's really the purpose, right? Is to uplift the community and businesses and neighbors and friends. So this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I joined it again initially right before we were moving here. I was looking for a new hairstylist and nails, which is always for me, anytime I move, that's the hardest part. We had moved from Colorado to Florida, and I was like, oh God, I have to find somebody else.
It's almost like dating again.
Yeah,
sure.
Because you have to find your person.
I mean, once upon a time, I did have that issue. Not so much these days.
So tell us, how did the Vero Beach Neighborhood group get started, and why is it here?
Why? Yeah. I'd like to know why.
Right.
Also. There was a Crime Watch page years ago. It's still around. The admin of that group was Nicole, and people just kept asking where to get their nails done and all these things that were not crime related. So she's like, I can't stand. It's a lot to moderate. It really is. And so I said, I'll just start a page. It can just be a dumping ground, and you can just send people who ask non-crime related things. Just send them over to whatever this is.
Yeah.
But there were so many people in the first week who were like, we could really do something special with this group if it's done correctly.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We just kind of took off. I say we. It's me. It's me.
Right.
But I do have a small team, and they're wonderful. But that is how it started. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So at what point did you end up trademarking it? How the name, and how quickly did it go from just this little group to kind of take the catch-alls to what 70,000+ that it is now, right?
So it grew pretty quickly, and I think that part of the reason for that growth was it was fast, but it was healthy growth, and I think that's because of the set of rules that we have. They're very basic, but they're very important. You can't run electric if you are not licensed and insured, even though you want to, but you can.
Right.
But we
you may have some knowledge.
Yeah,
but
we want to level the playing field, and it's not an insult to your skill set. It's just, why does this person have all this overhead and they're licensed with the state of Florida, and you just do it on Tuesday afternoons or Saturdays? So it's really important that we level that playing field for all businesses. We let them post constantly, and there's a lot of personalities on the page. When people you have a good thing and it's reputable, people are attracted to that.
Yeah.
And they want to participate in that, and that really brings out in them the very best.
Right.
And so, but also the negative to that is when you do that and when you become your name recognition is so significant, then people try to take that from you.
Right.
And that is where the registered trademark is. So all of my businesses are all individually registered. They all have EINs,
Nice.
and I have decided to go ahead and trademark certain things as well. And Vero Beach Neighborhood was the first thing that I trademarked.
Yeah.
Because it's really important. I tell all my business clients, protect yourself as much as possible. Insulate yourself where you can, because you can't get away from the negative, but you don't have to like participate in it.
Right,
It can be a really great thing. As long as you protect yourself.
Yeah, we actually have 2 trademarks, and before even trademarking my business name, I trademarked the name of the item that I sell. And I started doing that because, one, it became a recognized name, and then I saw that other sellers who were selling similar items were using that to promote their items. And I was like, no. I made that. That's mine.
They don't even give you credit.
No.
Like they just, and they usually do it. They usually take what belongs to you. So they bash you or attack you while they're also utilizing your stuff. And so I always have protect yourself the best way possible. It doesn't mean you don't share it. It just means that you, it belongs to you. So,
So what else do you do with VBN? So sure, people can go on there, they can post, they can look for recommendations, but you also do something called VBN Endorsed, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
That's a marketing company that came about mostly because of the licensing issue. In the state of Florida a couple of years ago decided that you didn't need licensing for like painting and flooring and a couple of other things. And people were constantly looking for reputable people. And I was like, okay, there's got to be a way. And people had asked me for years, can I pay you to market for me? Which is very flattering. But I was like, I have to make sure that it fits in with the VBN mission. Like my calling is Vero Beach Neighborhood. And so anything that I do, I make sure that it fits and it's right and it's truthful and everything, right? So VBN Endorsed is a program where anyone can apply to be part of the program. It's like a marketing program. It's very niche. So you have to meet certain criteria. You have to be insured, licensed if you need to be licensed for your line of business. You have to have a good reputation and give back to the community. And if you do all of those things, we offer indirect or direct marketing. So sometimes people just want it as like a rider plan to all the other marketing that they do. And sometimes they want me to be their full-time marketer to the Vero Beach Neighborhood space because that is where I live. And so you may not have time to be online all the time, but I am online all the time. So
you live there.
I live there. So I don't promise to be the first comment, but I absolutely am one of the first comments. And people like that. They like a stamp of approval. And I have worked very hard to have a solid reputation. And both me and VBN, they're kind of synonymous at this point. And so people look for that. They message me separately. They ask all the time. They come in the store and they ask. And so it's really important to be able to say, here, these are quality businesses that are offered. I always recommend people can call whoever they want. They can do whatever they want. People do anything they want off of the VBN space. But in Vero Beach Neighborhood, these are the rules that are that exist.
And I mean, it's not that you technically have like a legal responsibility to what recommendations are on your page. However,
I do not, just to be clear.
But it is comforting to know that, like, oh, okay, if I see Danielle talking about it, I know that she's looked into their background. I know that they're not screwing over, all those other people. And actually, this brings up a good situation that I didn't think about before was in the Sebastian group that doesn't have something similar like that. I was looking for recommendations on a contractor for my mom, and I had posted, and I put the whole backstory. She had been screwed over by several contractors prior to that, and she had one who literally had to walk off the job because he didn't have the proper licensing or contract. He hadn't even filed for a permit, and he was doing work on her screen. And she's just a homeowner, and it was her second house, and she didn't understand that a permit was even needed to repair a screen that was already there. And there were several people, who were recommended, and then there was one that I ended up going with. And then I found out later that he had screwed over one of my friends. And, because I recommended him later while he was still good. And then, she was like, oh, yeah, that's the one that, pushed me off for months, and then when it finally came time for him to do the work, he never showed. And those are things that, like, if we bring that to your attention, we bring receipts that, like, hey, we found this guy, from the page, this is how he's performing business. They're going to be out. And again, obviously depending on whether you look into how the receipts kind of play out, because you do look into that, like, you do make sure
that people will send me receipts receipts and they are wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did you
yesterday?
Just send me? Like,
we won't go too far into that one, but yesterday.
Holy cow. And so, any information that people send me, I always use my powers for good, not evil, right?
Right.
And so that's one of the things that's like so important that I always say people are good until they're not.
Right.
And some people are good for forever, and we want that for everyone. But if we find out, like, I can be recommending someone, you can be recommending someone, and they're great, and all of a sudden, sometimes things just happen in people's lives.
Whatever.
And it's not even because like a nefarious reason.
Right.
And then we pause them or we remove them temporarily or something. And some people have come back on. They've kind of took a nosedive in life.
Yeah.
And they've pulled it back together. They come back. They apologize.
That's great.
Like,
so it's not like an end-all be-all because you made one mistake.
There's abundant grace here. Like the reason that the rules are how they are is, and that is why it's so reputable, right? And so some people are out and they're going to be out for forever.
Right.
And sometimes I do enjoy that, depending on what it is that they've done or said, but realistically, there's hundreds of people who have said, I finally have my license. Can I come back on? Yeah. Right. The same with the proof. Absolutely. Welcome back in.
Right. Come
because
on in.
really, like that old cliche is like a rising tide raises all ships,
Yes.
right? And that's so important. Like VBN is not, I mean, yes, I'm very smart and this is a genius marketing conglomerate. Okay. But I can't do it without other good people. And that includes community members. That includes great relationships. That includes all of this stuff. People helping, be like, Danielle, here's the information. Like, that's great. Here's truth. This is false. Like, so I appreciate all of that help because I work almost 24 hours a day. So I really appreciate any little leg up. I'm like, oh, yes, then I don't have to go search for that information. It's been provided to me. I just verify it. So I really love all of that. And it's really so important that people have a place to go that they can trust. Like, just like your story. With, you know, you're trying to help your parents, your family, and you know, how do you do that? Where can you go to trust whatever? And VBN is the only page like it.
Yeah, and I mean, it ended up working out, I think, for the most part, but you know, it took probably a year longer than she wanted it to. And again, like, you know, I had put trust in him because I gave the backstory of like, please do not take this on if this is not something that you can do. Can you file the permits? Can you legally finish this? Because she was in an HOA. They check all that,
they do.
You know? So if you don't have that, it's not going to pass and she's going to be out more money.
Bad contractors do not care. They're in it for the deposit and then they're usually out
exactly.
at that point. And really there's hardly any protections. We've heard terrible horror stories. People who pick someone not from VBN, from someplace else that they found or a phone book or whatever, and they have these tens of thousands of dollars in issue and you're never going to see that money again. You're never, I mean, okay, so they have some punitive issue like with the court system, but there is no, you don't recoup that. And so that's why your home is your number one investment. And I like respect the crap out of that. And so it's really important to me that I do whatever, because of the position I'm in, try to you know, insulate people as much as possible. Right.
Well, and I love that, you know, when people leave, you know, a bad review, not that like any business, you know, doesn't have like a bad day or something that, you know, people should be forewarned about. But what is the saying? You know, a bad review will turn people off completely. They're not going to do their due diligence and look into it and ask for receipts before they make that decision about that company. And then it takes like 10 amazing glowing reviews to have the same power as one bad review. And, you know, there was the one before, you know, with the Habitat for Humanity, right? And that one, you know, everyone was in the comments, you know, going on what this one person said, and they were like, oh, shut them down, report them to this, report them to there. And, you know, without seeing that other side, it could have been very damaging, and it would be very damaging for anybody who didn't go back and follow back up with it
because
too.
People don't follow back up. They hardly read the comment in front of theirs, let alone going back to circle back to see what it is. Facebook, the way the algorithms work, or any social media, is it's dramatic, right? They want to keep your face in their book, and they'll do that however they need to do that. And if so that's why they don't remove a lot of stuff, or they want you to be like, oh my god.
Well, they actually push it.
They do, because you get a dopamine hit that's now attached to their product. And
it's like our 3-year-old who takes on negative attention, or 4-year-old now.
It's exactly right. And so I think like human beings they start like that and they continue on. Like as an adult, you try to meter that, but really that's your natural instinct.
Sometimes you don't even, you don't even know what's happening. It's like that documentary on Facebook where you're like, oh my God, they are getting me.
Yeah, there's times something will pop up and I'll buy it and I go, I know what's happening here and I'm going to do it anyway.
You can't help it,
Yeah, with the bad comments and the bad review, it's easy to get into that mob mentality of like dumping on, like, oh yeah, shut them down, without really doing
and then it's like, could you imagine if that was you or your business or your family's business or whoever, and you're like, wait, let me, like, please listen to my side of it, because they always,
on the receiving end of that, and it's like, what is happening right now? Because you're looking at it, you're like, none of this is true. So it's very important that I always believe people are very impressionable, and that's why I take what I do very seriously. It's more than a Facebook page. I feel like God has really entrusted me with this huge concentration of people, and I need to be doing the right thing. And sometimes that means separating myself from people. Sometimes that means correcting things. Like it has to be true. And I always tell people, sometimes you don't like what the truth is, but it doesn't mean it's not the truth. And so there are times where people will message me. They just come in hot to my inbox. I'm like, what? What's that? And so okay. So I just take a picture of that and I post it. And then so I'm very careful with the mob mentality, because that can be a very dangerous thing.
It can,
But when you're unsolicited, just attacking people, like you get what you get. I mean, you can't, like, I'm not a punching bag, right? So that's important. But when people are attacked, the Habitat one that you bring up is such a great example. They contacted me almost immediately and they said, come look at our cameras. And when I say cameras, that is what I like.
Angles,
every angle you can think. They had it covered. That place runs like a
when they were basically claiming assault.
But the person who posted said that one of the employees bashed into someone's leg, and it's like, who makes this up? People make stuff up all the time. It's like they don't like something, and what happened was they were told they couldn't go out the front door. That is the extent of what that was. And because they were told no, they made up this whole big thing.
Again, my toddler.
Yeah, because people want their pound of flesh, and they'll take it however they can get it. They don't care about you. They don't care about your business. And so I don't stand for that. I'm happy to be in this. I'm in this unique position to be in between bad businesses and good people, and bad people and good businesses. And so they're firing the darts. They can punch up all they want. Like, I would take the hit than other people, because I'm insulated enough where people know who I am. They know that I'm telling the truth. They know that I'm a Christian. And so when they read stuff, they go, that's obviously, it's just people who have found each other. So they think they're the majority, but they're not the majority. So I love that people trust me enough to say, please come look at our cameras. Who gets to do that? So I'm very blessed to be in the position that I'm in, but I'm also very humbled by the outpouring of love and support that people give me to let me do that.
Well, and I mean, Mike, how do you say his last name?
Peruta.
He assists you, right? He's a moderator in your group. And I was surprised, not surprised, when he also stepped in when there was like a car dealership situation, and he went in and assisted this mom, who couldn't go in there with her husband because of their kids, and needed that backing when there was some things that were, quite confusing. And when it comes down to financing and purchasing a vehicle, it's scary and it's terrifying, and they will take advantage of you 9 times out of 10, honestly. I was that man for my best friend several times, and even then, I remember going into one car dealership, deal after the point. She went in without me. And it was just the worst deal I had ever seen. Like, I was surprised that it could even be legal. And it just having, that when someone really needs it, because that was a very stressful situation for that member. And the fact that he stepped in on his own personal time to assist a member was just, that was huge.
It is the mission of Vero Beach Neighborhood, right? So we always look for people to kind of step into. I would love to be able to spread some of the work around, but it is a very specific personality. Like, who gives up their Sunday to go watch video footage? Who goes with someone else they may or may not have ever met to a car dealership? But that is what makes Vero Beach Neighborhood special. That's what makes it reputable. And it really is become this water cooler space. It is so essential to the community. And that's why, for me, it's a very high level of responsibility as well. It's not just a Facebook page. It's way more than that.
It's a family. It's a community.
Absolutely.
And I love the small town feel, even though, 75,000 people, but it's very, it goes to that small town vibe, and that, like, I can think when we used to live in South Florida, none of the Facebook groups, there was never anything like that. All the Facebook groups were literally just complaining all day. Right. It was complaining, and then people promoting their business, and then complaining, and then people promoting their business.
Yeah, because that is what the internet has turned into.
Right.
It's a place where, so we always say, if you go to whatever restaurant and you have a bad meal or a bad server or something else like that, don't bring it to VBN.
Yeah.
If you're going to bring it to VBN, it's because you spoke to a manager or an owner, and you have gotten some kind of resolution. Right. And you have some issue, a legitimate photos, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And so that's so important. Like if you have the gumption to get on the internet and blast someone to 75,000 people, you have to have that same strength, let's call it, to say, hi, can I speak to one person, one manager, right?
And the one person you should be speaking to,
who can,
because you're telling the 75,000 people who can't do anything about it, who all they're going to do is potentially, ruin that experience, maybe never check it out because they're like, oh, I saw that thing on Facebook.
And that's where the mob mentality comes in, right? And so they all jump and they go, because people, again, are impressionable to the fact where if you tell them something, they take that as gospel.
Right.
And the more dramatic it is,
it's
the
on
more
the internet.
They believe it.
It's real.
It's wild. And I mean, you manage some sites, some niche sites, and the stuff that people say, is, you're like, what are you talking about?
Well, and the absolute right that they believe they have to be in there and to post whatever they want. And it's like, I'd always hear the my First Amendment, and I was like, you have that on your page.
Right.
You don't have that on mine.
Yeah.
Also,
it's freedom from the government. And I'm not the government, so tough cookies.
Yeah, right. So you can take that somewhere else.
You also got to give the company, especially in food service and stuff, you got to give them the opportunity to make it right.
Right.
So, because a lot of times they don't speak to a manager, they don't give them the opportunity to make it right, and then they go and blast them, whether it be on VBN or even just Google reviews. And then a lot of times you see the company more so in Google reviews because they get they get a notification.
Right.
You see them respond to them and try to make it right in the comments when that could have been taken care of right there, in the moment. And then you would have walked away with a different feeling and hopefully would have posted a positive instead of a negative.
Well, the new trend on Google is that if I want to leave you a bad review, I then also engage 50 of my friends to also
my friend
come to
just had that happen
business.
to her.
So Google, I think, I don't love Google, full disclosure, but I think they've done a very good job at seeing that if you do that, they wipe them almost all out.
Right. Well, and you can tell when it's happening because it's
exactly right.
They're all within hours of each other.
You can have
or
good ones for that. It's not the same thing as having bad ones for that. Right. And so they've been very good, and it's my understanding that they also mark the profiles, and so they're watching your activity because I think that they've seen an uptick in this ridiculously insane behavior, and they had to do something. And so those profiles we had that at the store. Someone was stalking me, and they decided they had 4 different profiles, and they kept just hitting. And so Google annihilated them, and I was like, let's be a little more proactive because we're happy to use your platform, but we would like a little some protections. Give me anything, so
that would happen on YouTube too.
And people are really good. They're also
bombing.
Other people, when they see that, if you bring it to their attention, they're happy to say, you know what, I have been in your store, in your podcast studio, at your restaurant, and now maybe it's time for me to leave a review. And then they do that, and I think that that's a really great thing. And because the world has gotten so crazy, those 1-star reviews, I always tell my business customers, don't even worry about them, because people read them, and they read them for exactly what they are.
Yes.
In fact, sometimes they boost your business.
Yes.
So I said, make merchandise off of them and do all kinds of different things. That's what we do at the store. You say whatever you want. I'm going to make a T-shirt out of it. So.
It used to, the negative comments that I get on and I don't get many, but they used to give me so much anxiety. They would sometimes ruin my day. I would not stop thinking about them.
Because you care about your business.
And we had one for the studio the other day, and it said it was just an ad on our Facebook, and that brings out all of them. Brings out all the spammers telling us our Facebook page is going to be whatever. And then someone commented, and he said, WTF is this? And I was like, well, Josh, I don't remember what his name is. And I was like, it's a podcast studio where you can come, and I instead turned it into a fun opportunity to reply with sass and know that like I'm not replying to him because he's already a lost cause. I'm replying to the other people to let them know like this is how we work, this is what we are, and it like everyone like I posted it on my personal page and everyone was like, oh, you know, don't let that bother you, and I was like, no, I actually get excited now when they do that because then it gives me a pass to like be sassy publicly.
The tide is definitely turning. So one of the things I have to do is keep
and it's free engagement.
Keep my finger on the pulse of like what's ahead of the curve, what's coming next, because I have to understand it and know it and be able to implement it when I see other people. I'm like, what is that? I know what they're doing, right? So I'm happy to say that the tide, where the tide is moving, is those 1-star reviews are not doing what you think that they're doing. Right. So your pound of flesh is a lost cause, and you can go back to your mom's basement and be super unhappy. Like they're not what you think they are, which is a really great thing for businesses. People want comprehensive, well-worded, real reviews. And I know that all of these nasty ones are not real. They've never been to the store. They've never been to the restaurant. They had a friend who was wronged by a cousin's brother's sister's uncle. You know, it's like, we don't want that. That's not what it is. And so people just... you know, maybe they'll get rid of the 1-star reviews after a while. I don't know. So it's getting a little bit ridiculous.
I love the ones on Instagram and stuff where they then turn it into like a reel or like content about them. And then like, you know, it's always the ones like calling like females fat or talking about their body. And then they'll like post a picture of that person. And you're like, you shouldn't be passing judgment here.
Yeah, it's just simple as this is who's saying it. My grandmother used to always say, consider the source. Right?
Yes.
And so I bring that to me to this day, which is okay. All
right.
So you're a do nothing, have nothing. You're not a business owner. You're not even like why don't you have a job? Like go do something. Volunteer, do something. But they don't, and they spend their entire day being ugly. And so we just don't participate in that. It doesn't bother me. I'm the same person. Like what I say to you online, I'll say to you in real life. That's not a problem. So like, you know, I don't hide behind my keyboard. So but they can't handle that. And there have been times where we have run into people in stores. Like I have a photographic memory, so when I see them, I go, if I see you, I'll recognize you, right? If I'm looking at you and my brain is not kicking in, then it's just I'm not actually looking at you, right? No offense, but when I see them, and sometimes they'll even talk to me, and like they have no problem. I'm like, you have no idea that I know exactly who you are, what is happening right now. So, but they can't. They would never dream to say those things, in real life. And so, always to all businesses, you know, who are listening, always consider the source. Like, stay calm. If you feel like the need to answer those Google reviews or whatever, answer them. But
or
just
delete them and move on.
You know the angle they're coming from, so you can beat them at their own game. Yeah.
So let's transition to the beach shop.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about like how that started and you know, just how it started and where is it at now?
So I always have a list of things that I want to do, but
it's long.
It's super long, and sometimes someone else will get to it first, and you're like, oh, that was so good, so good. And so some things you can alter, and you can do different things with yours because it matches your brand. But normally I just cross it off my list. But the store has been one of those things I've wanted to do forever, and it had to be the right place at the right time in the right location, and it just so happened that. The 2145 Indian River Boulevard was available, and it used to be the old Vero Beach Book Center is where I'm at. It's a cute little pink building with a little white picket fence in the front, and it's my neighbors are Zoe Orthodontics, and she's lovely, and then Truist Bank is to my left. We face Indian River Boulevard, and so what's really great about I remember when we were building the store, I was like, okay, I share every business model I share with everyone. This one's just going to be for me. We're like halfway through construction. I'm looking around at my team, and I went, what if I have local business, like local people who make things? Like I'll source from them. So if I'm going to get candles, I get them from Wild Ascent. If I want to get this, I get it from that person. And they literally all stopped working and looked at me and they go, are you kidding me? Because you just said like, you had a whole different mission. I'm like, I know, but the whole VBN mission is to uplift others. And there are so many talented people
my gosh,
here,
there are.
who may never have a brick and mortar. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what a great way to showcase their gifts and their talents and their abilities. So I'm really proud to say that although it's my gift shop with my things in it, we source from 30 local businesses, which is incredible in that tiny little 1,500 square foot space. So
Yeah, it's so cute though. We went in. I had been in a couple times. Why did I go in the first time? Oh, I was seeing if if you guys were hiring or anything for my mother-in-law. She was looking at for a job at the time, and I ended up buying a really cute, resin keychain that, had an M. She loves going to the beach and stuff, so I thought it was perfect for her. It was an adorable shop. And then we went in another time
shortly
and
after
we were just gonna
starting the studio.
Yeah, we were just gonna drop off business cards.
Right.
And then you and Mike were there, and then now all of a sudden we're sitting in that adorable, cute little sitting area, which is it literally encourages you to sit and chat and hang out and just talk.
Right.
And we ended up talking for probably about an hour and then recorded some
we
content.
Had a great podcast episode.
We did record it. Yeah.
You talk about algorithms.
Right.
It was so good.
And then it also led to this because I was like, we're doing Local Lens, hey, would you be available? And, who better than to start it there?
Yeah. I love it every time you say it. I love it.
But and then just looking at all of the different items, they go together, but they're all very different and unique. And the corn snake stuff and the yellow plane and so many cute, adorable what do you call them, inside jokes, I guess, of the community.
They're almost like Easter eggs in the shop. Right. So if you're not part of the group and you don't
have no idea.
You just bypass it. But if you're in the group, you're like, oh look,
a
corn snake shirt. Let me get that.
It's true. People come in, they're like, oh my gosh, this is what I was looking for. I was like, it's right there. There's other people who go, what is this?
Right.
So it gives them a really good opportunity to meet people who either don't have Facebook or weren't aware of it, and so sometimes they join right there, let them right in. It's a super fun thing. And then the seating area you were talking about is great because people can come in. Sometimes they just come in to sit for a little bit and read. You don't have to talk to if I'm there sometimes or any of the girls who work there, you don't have to talk to anyone. You can just relax. And so it's a nice quiet space. If you have meetings and you're like, I really don't want to sit at a restaurant because I have a time limit, or I have to go to the library again at a meeting room, and you can bring your client right there. It's not confidential. People in the store can probably hear what you're saying. But if it's just a general meeting, you're welcome to use that space. It's completely free. There's no charge to that. It's just like a nice community space. It just keeps in line with the rest of the VBN things. But there's a lot to look at in there. There's a lot of very cool things in the store.
Yeah.
Let's just because we can talk.
There's so much. I know. I'm like, who's going next?
No, just a little bit about your background and being in Vero Beach. How long have you been here, and your ties to the community?
So my family's been here about 45 years.
Wow.
And so we would come down all the time. And so we were able to move here full-time 10 years ago. Okay. And so this happened maybe a year or so, year and a half after we moved here. It just kind of just happened.
Right.
And the whole move down, which is a story for another podcast.
Right.
It's wild to look back and see God's hand move in all of the different things that is happening. It just unrolled so fast. And I was like, I have to go
on
this
its
way.
own.
And I remember the time my husband being like, well, he just started his own business, and he goes, I really need another year, because you know how business is. You get that stuff. And I go, I'm going to go. And so if you want to come with me, I was like, or we can long distance it. And he's like, what are you saying to me right now? And I was like, I got to go. I feel called to move now.
Right.
And I just told God, I was like, this is where you want me. You've got to move.
Make it happen.
Yep. And I also prayed for my husband at the time, and I was like, also, if I'm sensing this correctly, you have to make it okay with him too. I don't want that conflict. He has to understand. So we had come down on vacation, and I was I needed a job, I was looking for jobs, and he said. He woke up one morning and he's like, I have an idea. He's like, I found a couple of law firms that your skill set would be good at. And I was like, holy cow. And I knew at that moment that was really God. God was intervening in that situation. And I said, okay, I was like, please just use me in whatever way, whatever your plan is, I want to be part of that plan. And so I worked for two really awesome law firms the first couple years I was here, and then I was on sick leave. I needed a surgery, and it was when I was on sick leave, which was such a weird, unplanned surgery. And your bodies do weird things when you get older. Anyway, and so it was in that moment that VBN was created, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is the next chapter. And so I always think what if I had moved here 5 years earlier, or 5 years later, or whatever else, but everything's perfect kind of in God's timing. And so that was really, really good. But prior to me moving here, I'm a certified paralegal. I worked at law firms. I've worked at banks before. I was one of their officers in their brokerage section. So we handled all of the complaints for their brokerage accounts, both in the United States and globally. And I always say there is no more angrier person than someone who thinks a bank stole their money, even though the stock market is essentially legal gambling. No one wants to say that out loud, but I will. So it's like, I didn't get my money back. And I'm like, no kidding. so as I'm saying, like you're looking back on all these things and you see God's hand in all these things. How is it that I was in food service and then I was in a law firm and I have the legal background knowledge and now I've worked in complaints, like the worst complaints you can think of, like Christmas morning kind of anger emails. And so all of that together has created this skill set that I am using every bit of it every day in every situation. And so like nothing. So I always tell people, if you're discouraged where you're at right now, know that God can use that more than you can ever imagine.
Yeah.
So
well, and there's been many situations, actually the reason why we moved up here, stuff was happening with our house down south. Our insurance had dropped us and refused to bring us back on because there was literally they had our wrong loan number because we had refinanced. Yeah. And so it was a simple mistake that they didn't have the right loan number. Right. The check was sent in, so they didn't apply it to the right account. And then, we were forced to go to Citizens, and it made our insurance $7,000 more a year. Yeah, and we were like, okay, we can't afford this house anymore. And we had already wanted to move because we weren't in the safest neighborhood.
I laugh because we couldn't afford the house because of where the mortgage payment ballooned to. And then at the end, we find a house here in Sebastian.
Same payment.
With lower insurance.
Lower insurance.
Bigger house. It was a way better situation. Same mortgage.
Same price. So but we figured it out.
We figured it out, but it was also a lot easier because of, again, the location and circumstances here versus there.
Yeah, making that high of a payment work somewhere we were already unhappy, and then making that kind of payment for a house that wasn't 80 years old and was only 3 years old. No, I mean, it was 1970. Yeah, 70. And that's not 80 years old, but whatever. It was math.
It does feel like it.
Right? It does. Yeah, when you do when they tell you that you're closer to 2050
and I think a house older, like stuff starts,
and everything was falling apart, and it was just, so the insurance on top of that was just, it was a thing. And then all of a sudden, we accidentally found the house that we live in now. When we went to go see it, our house wasn't even on the market yet, and we went home and we busted our butt and we got our house ready to sell in 3 days and listed it. It was
it happened
it like a
snowballed.
We were under contract within 24 hours, and then we were under contract on our new house. And it's just all of that to say that, like, we went with the flow, and we kept telling ourselves, like, if at any point we feel like we're forcing this, it's not right. It's not the right house. It's not the right time. Maybe it's not the right area.
And then it was like, oh crap, everything's flowing.
Yeah.
And
then we're like, is it happening? Oh God, is it happening? Yeah.
Then you second guess, like, are we making the right decision? Even though you make that, like, if we force it, then it's not meant to be.
Right.
It's not in the plan. But then it's like, it works, and you're like, like smoothly, you're like, oh wait, this wasn't like I was expecting to back out. And then it works, and then it's like, oh.
It was funny. At one point, I even asked my realtor, and I was like, okay, if we can back out, like, we can back out, right, if we need to. And she was like, no. And I was like,
too far
shit.
In.
Okay, well committed. Then we're all right. We're all in. We're all in.
It's cool though, how like some of these negative things push you into a space that
in that moment we were losing our mind.
Right. You would never have known. It ends up being like one of the best things that happens to you. So
yeah. So what do you see for either the Vero Beach Neighborhood group or your gift shop? Is there anything that you see coming up in the future that you're excited about?
So we have a bunch of different things. Another line of business I have is a podcast called VBN Radio. So we have big plans for that in 2026.
Nice.
I'm also a nationally syndicated radio host, so that kind of keeps getting bigger and bigger, which is also another whole wild ride. Like, it's one of those things where I guess you could pretend like you wanted to be a rockette when you were little, and people are like, okay, sure. And you're like, you put it on the back burner and you get a real job,
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, one day you wake up and you're a rockette and you're like, no way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So that's a pretty cool gig. But there's big plans for everything, whether it's events or VBN. Like, we always try to keep it like big, stupid, and exciting. That's what it is. And whatever it is, like, I'm happy to kind of even look silly promoting fun events, because if it's something that brings the community together, it's worth it for VBN to do it. So,
speaking of bringing the community together, Mike's beard. That was another great.
That was it, right? Yeah.
It got sales for his wife's business.
Absolutely.
It got people invested, in the situation.
He loves her. It's so sweet to watch them. They're like my favorite couple on the planet, and he's willing to do anything for her. And that was just one of the things. But a byproduct of that was that the entire community was like,
we were all invested. Take my money, and I want to
see the beard, team shave the beard, and so. But he did raise. They didn't meet their goal, and so he did shave his beard. Yeah,
he looked like a completely different person. I was like, who are you?
He posted after.
I didn't think it was real.
And I hadn't seen the whole shaving or any of that yet. Because for however the algorithm worked, it showed me him shaved first.
Oh, because you guys were talking about that at the store.
Yeah.
Like, don't do it, man.
He was for the beard.
I'm obviously a beard guy. And I'm scrolling, and I literally scrolled past him because I didn't recognize.
Who he is.
I didn't even look at the name. It's just, it's a video of someone speaking, and I'm like, just keep going because I didn't recognize
Who's this
him. And then I see shortly after I saw the post about him shaving, and then I'm like, wait, was that? That's him. I'm like, wow, completely different.
Completely different.
If he ever has
people thought it was AI.
If he ever has to run from the law, either grow your beard or shave it.
Right.
Because you'll hide in plain sight.
Yeah, it is wild how that works. But
yeah.
Well, it's been great having you on for our first show.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to leave the audience with as far as where to follow you?
Heavy question.
Yeah, that's a big question. Wow.
Advice, whatever.
Oh. Sure. Yeah, I have a bunch. Well, I have a bunch. Okay, so we'll narrow it down to one. I always tell people, whatever you do, work like the Bible says. Whatever you do, work it as if you're working to the Lord, right? Because that's what you're doing. And so just make sure anything you're doing, know that it has your name on it. You're responsible for it. Be accountable to it.
Right.
And just. Truth is always going to be your best friend.
Yeah.
So,
it'll come out.
Especially
in VBN if you're lying.
I'm gonna push it out.
All right. And so remind people again what the group is, where the location, and maybe even the hours of your shop, so they know where to go to check all those things out.
So the rundown is, if you're on Facebook, you're going to go to Vero Beach Neighborhood Incorporated. It's the one that has the registered trademark R, the little R. There's a pizza page. There's a friends meetup. There's a couple of those. So anything that has the registered R belongs to Danielle Wynkoop. You're in the right space. Anything else is something that's been taken, and I wouldn't associated with that personally. If you want the gift shop, it's at 2145 Indian River Boulevard. We're open Monday through Saturday, and you can check Google or the website for those things. You can also go to verobeachneighborhood.com, and that has some interesting information. It has bios on the VBN team.
Nice.
Trying to think what else.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Well, real quick while you were saying that,
Sure,
I just remembered. If someone was looking to get more information on becoming endorsed or wanting to be endorsed, where would they go?
Oh, yeah. I'm the worst pusher of my own business.
Right.
Thank you.
Same.
Like, I always tell people, like, I told you this too. Like, I was like, I am just like, I'm over here if you need it.
Right.
Like, I'll sell the crap out of your business.
Right.
So you can just message me on Facebook. Okay. You can email me at vbn.inc@aol.com. And yes, I do have an AOL. I
nice.
love that platform. Love it. So keep it. But yeah, and you can ask me any questions. We can schedule a phone call, whatever it is. Some people like to know the information, come back another time. So there is you can upgrade your plan. You can go back to different plans. You can stop and go. Like it's whatever is good for your business or seasonally or whatever it is. We're happy to work within that. So
awesome. And having that AOL is kind of like a marketing ploy because
it is.
As soon as you say
you can relate to the people who know.
Everyone's like, oh,
remember that.
Yeah. So
either remember, or if they're too young, they're like, what's that?
What's that? Either way,
I know what I'm doing.
Well, thanks for coming on and spending some time with us. And if you guys are business owners yourselves or know of business owners that would like to be highlighted here, like Danielle today, feel free to reach out to us either on Facebook at Riley Black Studios or at RileyBlackStudios.com. Our email is info@RileyBlackStudios.com. And I think that's it. Right? That's all we got.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.